Okay, today I'm going to be putting my own arm in a vacuum chamber. Oh wow. Okay, it's really sucking. Whoa, look. That was only for a few seconds and not even that low of a vacuum. You can see already the blood starting to come out and my hand starting to swell.
Captain Latimer wants me to prove that I can stay alive with just my spacesuit for protection.
We have Sergeant Johnson and Sergeant Jacobs in there with you today, and so two of our finest, and you got a good chance to meet those guys whenever they were over in the integration room with you. They're going to be right there.
There's an awful lot of people, presumably all to keep me alive. Because when all the air's pumped out, this chamber will turn deadly, making some strange things happen.
Is that gonna boil?
That will begin to boil at around 63,000 feet. So we're gonna, and I'll keep you posted on that as we get a little bit closer to it. Okay, we're gonna start our rapid ascent up to 75,000 feet now.
Roger.
And we're going to keep an eye on that glove, which has already expanded considerably since we started. Now, we just passed through 50,000 feet. That's what the Air Force deems as the space equivalent zone. And that's kind of a carryover to back to the old space race days, whenever we were trying to kind of set a timeline between us and the... Oh, there it goes.
Let's just be clear. That water isn't boiling because it's hot, it's boiling because the pressure's so low. Without this suit on, my tears and saliva would boil too.
And our glove just popped, so it made it to 70,000 feet.
So far, so good. But things would get a lot more hairy if my cockpit canopy were to fail. Without my suit, such a catastrophic pressure drop would rip apart my lungs. Let's practice that then. 3, 2, 1. There you go. Pull that helmet hole down. Perfect. Doing a great job. Looking good. How you feeling?
I'm still breathing.
You are still breathing. Your suit pressure looks excellent. Your helmet pressure is looking good. So everything worked exactly like it's supposed to, which is always great. Good. I'm very glad that's over with.
Well done. Your brains didn't blow up, your eyes didn't bulge out, your guts didn't fall out. So it's a good day so far.
Yesterday's video of that chap putting his arm in a vacuum chamber has caused quite a stir. What's come out of this is actual footage, supposed footage, of a man in a vacuum chamber, which is great, which is what we wanted to have a look. Now, before we look at this, I'm going to point a few things out. There's more cuts in this footage than there is in an old school samurai flick. You've also got two chaps in the chamber with him that are supposed to be in a slight back room that aren't wearing any protective gear whatsoever. You see a bottle bubble up at a certain point, I think when they get to supposed 65,000 feet, the supposed pressure in that chamber. We get a very suspicious angle to see that from the camera. You would have thought if this was a scientific experiment, you'd have cameras everywhere to see if anything goes wrong, and if it did, you've got a great understanding of how to fix it in the future. And of course, with an extra cameras and eyes everywhere, it's safer and it's more scientific. But no, we get the usual very dodgy, suspicious camera angles. We also get like a surgical glove that blows up in the chamber. Here's the thing with that. It looks like, you can't make this shit up. It looks like it's tied to a pipe with a lever on it. So it's almost as if the pipe's blowing the glove up itself. Why don't these people ever present it in a simplistic fashion where it sells itself on fundamental truths? There's got no cuts in the footage, no blokes in a vacuum chamber that haven't got protection. And it actually backs the claim. This was sent supposedly of a spaceman in a vacuum chamber. All this is supposed to be recreating is a U-2 spy plane pilot. I asked for space, the vacuum of space. Instead, I get the test conditions for a U-2 spy pilot. And we get that with a man who's not doing anything. And yet we're expected to believe people are in the vacuum of space, which is far, far worse than what our friend here is supposedly encountering in a minute. And they've got dexterity to fix things, do up bolts, change parts. Ridiculous. Fair use for this footage. This was sent as evidence. And we're looking at this footage and analysing the evidence that's been provided and seeing if it holds up to scrutiny. This is for educational purposes and this is for fair use purposes. We're looking at this footage to analyse if this chap is put himself in the certain conditions and circumstances in which they say. And as I've already stated, with the glove, the people in the chamber, it would seem not. Let's have a look.
Captain Latimer wants me to prove that I can stay alive with just my spacesuit for protection.
Now these two chaps with the army hats and the breathing masks and the normal army camouflage gear actually stay in the chamber with him, which doesn't really sell this story at all. But we'll continue.
We have Sergeant Johnson and Sergeant Jacobs in there with you today, and so two of our finest, and you got a good chance to meet those guys whenever they were over in the integration.
So these guys are staying in there. No protection whatsoever. We saw what happened to the man's arm when he put it in the vacuum chamber, but these guys are in there without protection.
With you. They're going to be right there.
There's an awful lot of people, presumably all to keep me alive.
You'll notice there's terribly edited, terribly cut. At the moment, the water bottle's already in there, here, just in there to the right.
When all the air's pumped out, this chamber will turn deadly, making some strange things happen.
Is that gonna...
Like I said, really badly edited. More cuts than a samurai movie. We already saw the water was in there. Now they're bringing the water in. Terrible. Just shows the editing, the cuts.
boil?
That will begin to boil at around 63,000 feet. So we're going to, and I'll keep you posted on that as we get a little.
I would have liked to have seen James May holding the water. I would have liked to see James May holding the rubber glove, one in each hand, so there's no foul play going on, no trickery. But no, we got what looks like a setup.
A little bit closer to it.
Lock in the vacuum door now with two guys in there who don't have protection. What's not to believe?
Okay, we're going to start our rapid ascent up to 75,000 feet now.
Roger.
And we're going to keep an eye on that glove, which has already expanded considerably since we started.
Now we look at the glove. It's attached to what looks like a pipe coming out of a wall with a valve on it, like a handle there. I mean, sorry. I'm sorry, guys, but this isn't scientific. Dear, oh dear. If you were to fake this is exactly how you do it. Come on.
Now, we just passed through 50,000 feet. That's what the Air Force deems as the space
No flow between the footage. Cuts left, right, and centre.
equivalent zone. And that's kind of a carryover to back to the old space race days whenever we were trying to kind of set a timeline between us and this. Oh, there he goes.
And of course, the water's doing its thing. We got the usual dodgy camera angles. You would have thought that would be great to see that in all its glory, but no, we got a very suspicious camera angle. Always the case.
Let's just be clear. That water isn't boiling because it's hot, it's boiling because the pressure's so low. Without this suit on, my tears and saliva would boil too.
And our glove just popped. So it made it to 70,000 feet.
So far, so good. But things would get a lot more hairy if my cockpit canopy were to fail. Without my suit, such a catastrophic pressure drop would rip apart my lungs. Let's practice that then.
3, 2, 1. There you go. Pull that helmet hole down. Perfect. Doing a great job. Looking good. How you feeling?
I'm still breathing.
You are still breathing. Your suit pressure looks excellent. Your helmet pressure is looking good. So everything worked exactly like it's supposed to, which is always great.
Good. I'm very...
Opening the doors, and the guys without the protection are in there. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Why is it whenever we talk about the globe or any of its scientific claims, whether it be vacuums or practicality, it never, ever, ever holds up to scrutiny? In this case, we've got more cuts than a fucking old school samurai movie. We've got geezers in the vacuum chamber who haven't even got protection. We've got dodgy camera angles, surgical gloves tied to fucking hoses on the wall. I'm surprised the middle finger on that glove didn't blow up only, and they just give us the birdie, because that's essentially what they're trying to do with this footage. Sorry. You want to convince me man can live and move around in a vacuum, do it under proper conditions? I want cans of Coke and Pepsi Cola cans all around the vacuum chamber, blowing up as our supposed spaceman in his proper space outfit comes up against conditions that he would face in the ISS while he's on his spacewalk. Yeah? So let's get him doing some robot dancing so we can move around. We can see him move around, and he's got the freedom in his suit to do that, all while these Coke cans are blowing up all around him. Then I might believe the absurdity that is the heliocentric space claim, that men can move around, do things in a vacuum whilst being protected from a vacuum. Still waiting to see that proven under proper scientific conditions rather than tosh like this. Cheers.